Hi, welcome to our channel, Stoic Principles. Today we will focus on overcoming addiction with Stoic discipline, finding freedom through self-control. In today's fast-paced, digitally driven society, addiction has taken many forms, stretching far beyond substance abuse. Technology has given us 24/7 access to social media, streaming platforms, and endless sources of information and entertainment, all designed to keep us hooked. In this environment, Stoic philosophy offers powerful tools for breaking free from these addictions, with a focus on self-control, discipline, and the cultivation of virtue. Stoicism, practiced by ancient philosophers like Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca, encourages us to recognize and strengthen our inner power, reclaiming control over our lives by mastering our impulses rather than being ruled by them. A core Stoic idea is that true freedom comes from within. Stoics teach that while we can't control what happens around us, we can always control our response. Addiction, in many ways, is an internal battle. It involves urges and desires that feel uncontrollable, pushing us to act against our own well-being. For instance, think of the compulsion to scroll through social media, even when we know it's causing stress or taking time from important activities. Stoicism reminds us that we have the power to pause, acknowledge the impulse, and decide whether to act on it. As Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." True liberation from addiction, then, lies in cultivating the self-mastery to choose our responses rather than giving in to every impulse. Practical application of Stoic principles in today's world. One practical Stoic approach to addiction is the concept of premeditatio malorum, or premeditation of evils. This practice involves mentally preparing for difficult situations by imagining challenges we may face and planning our responses. In today's world, that could mean preparing ourselves to deal with specific triggers of addiction. For instance, if we find that social media is a source of distraction and stress, we can imagine ourselves encountering that urge to open an app. Instead of immediately giving in, we can practice pausing, taking a deep breath, and considering an alternative action, like picking up a book or going for a walk. By visualizing this in advance, we become more capable of choosing thoughtful responses in real situations, building our resilience over time. Another powerful Stoic technique is known as negative visualization, where we envision life without something we currently rely on or crave. Let's say we feel overly attached to our phone, checking it constantly. By imagining life without a phone or an internet connection, we can start to see our attachment in a new light, recognizing that we can indeed function and even thrive without it. This practice helps to loosen the grip that addiction has on us by breaking down our fears of missing out or losing something essential. With repeated practice, negative visualization can help reframe our mindset, showing us that we are not dependent on our addictions to feel complete or happy. Using Stoic virtue as a compass. One of the most powerful tools Stoicism provides is the practice of virtue. Stoicism teaches that our actions should align with virtues like wisdom, courage, justice, and self-discipline. When we set these virtues as our compass, we start to evaluate our decisions based on whether they help us grow as individuals. For example, if we recognize that our dependency on technology is eroding our mental clarity, we can ask ourselves, is this action wise? Does it help me cultivate self-control? This simple reflection can help redirect our behavior toward more virtuous actions. Over time, practicing virtue-centered decisions helps to cultivate habits that naturally steer us away from compulsions. The Stoics also valued mindfulness in its own way, encouraging constant awareness of our thoughts and actions. When Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." He was reinforcing the idea that we can always choose where to focus our attention. A practical example in today's world could be setting small daily intentions to limit addictive behaviors, like checking social media only twice a day or turning off notifications. By practicing mindful boundaries, we gradually train our mind to focus on what truly matters, reducing the grip that addiction holds over us, building a stronger inner fortress against addiction. Another Stoic strategy is to use adversity as a training ground. Seneca, the Roman philosopher, believed that struggle strengthens us. He advised us to willingly embrace discomfort, and practice self-denial as a means of building resilience. For someone struggling with addiction, this could mean consciously practicing restraint each day. Whether by reducing time spent on certain activities, resisting the urge to engage in certain behaviors, or even doing small acts that are challenging, like exercising instead of binge-watching TV. By pushing through these small moments of resistance, we build up the mental muscle needed to resist addictive behaviors. Additionally, Stoicism teaches us to reframe addiction as an opportunity for growth. Instead of viewing it as a flaw or a burden, we can see it as a guide that reveals areas where we need to grow. For instance, addiction often thrives in environments of stress and emotional struggle. If we view our cravings and dependencies as signals, they can help us identify unresolved issues, such as anxiety, loneliness, or a lack of purpose. With a Stoic mindset, we can take this information and focus on addressing these root causes, fostering long-term healing, rather than merely suppressing symptoms. Conclusion: embracing Stoic discipline for lasting freedom. As the U.S. faces rising rates of addiction, anxiety, and depression, particularly post-pandemic, the wisdom of Stoicism is as relevant as ever. While the hustle culture and digital saturation of modern life often drive us toward addiction, Stoic principles offer a path to true freedom, one rooted not in denial, but in deliberate, mindful choices. Each act of self-restraint, each moment spent considering our actions, and every virtue-driven decision brings us closer to personal freedom. True freedom isn't a matter of indulging every desire, but of being free from desires that drive us away from our highest selves. When we can govern ourselves, as the Stoics teach, we create an inner fortress that no external craving or impulse can breach. Through Stoic discipline, we learn to act not from compulsion but from choice, finding a new kind of strength and clarity that endures. By applying these ancient principles in our modern lives, we can break free from addiction's hold, building a life grounded in wisdom, self-control, and lasting peace.